This detail completely changes everything for this Florida Panthers team during this regular season, as well as during the offseason. Yes, this will be an ambitious episode that will take a look at some of the comments Brad Marchand said during Media Day, why he decided to sign here, and how it could potentially lure other unrestricted free agents to sign with the team. Yeah, I know the season hasn't started yet, and we're going to look to the future, but that's why this will be a two-part episode, because we're going to break down the current roster, the salaries, the salary cap increase at the end of this season going to the 2026-2027 season. So it will be a look at the what could be the Florida Panthers next year. What could they do to bring certain players back? How much money are they going to have in their salary cap to be able to spend on unrestricted free agents after signing some of their key players who could potentially walk away and sign elsewhere if they have really great seasons? We're going to get into that in just a second. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Panthers Digest. I am your host, Greg Andrews. You're going to want to sit tight for this one. You're going to want to listen very carefully because there's a lot of information I'm going to throw at you guys, a lot of intriguing ideas of what could be for this Florida Panthers team. How could they build an even deeper roster than they already currently have? Again, this is Panthers Digest, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. You guys need to stay up to date with anything and everything that has to do with your back-to-back Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. Let's dive right into this, guys. Brad Marchand, the Rat King. He had some choice words about why he decided to sign with the Florida Panthers this offseason. Yes, had partially to do with Aaron Ekblad and Sam Bennett, who he's become very close with. That was a big reason, but the other reason why is because of no state tax. But it's not just as simple as stating, that's the one thing that lured me here. It was part of it. And this is what he had to say about how things have changed over the years, where back in the day, it never really mattered. Players didn't care about coming to Florida or Tampa Bay or other teams that were in states where there was no state tax. And there's a reason behind it. This is what he had to say, guys. Take a listen.
Some teams weren't as competitive or weren't run as well. Because that is the main thing. You care about the hockey, you care about the organization. So you're not going to walk into a non-tax state if the team's not run well or if they're a bad team, but that's just not the case anymore. These teams, non-tax state teams, are some of the best run teams in the league. So the teams you want to play for just because of the ownership and the management and how they approach the day-to-day game.
So there you have it. It didn't really matter back in the day when the team wasn't winning because nobody wanted to come to an organization that's not well run, that isn't winning. To them, it's not necessarily just about, oh, okay, I can make more money in a state that has no state taxes. These guys want to win. And when an organization starts to win, I'll give you 3 examples. Las Vegas, Tampa Bay, Florida Panthers. All in states and, Dallas Stars. The one thing that they have is a higher property tax in the state of Texas. So I don't think that's a big deterrent, but there's no state tax there. So those 4 teams essentially are attracting some big name players, and their rosters are getting better every year. You're seeing them always in the hunt for a Stanley Cup, getting into the playoffs at least. So he's not saying, oh, I just came here merely because of that. Yes, it was part of the decision that really did lure him here because he could have, like he said, 15% more in your contract if you're going to a team that's in Canada. But he sees, after just winning a Stanley Cup last year and only playing a finite amount of games because he was traded so late in the season, but crushed it in the playoffs. He loves the team. He loves the guys he's with. He's built such great friendships with these guys on this team. That's why he wanted to stay. Well-run organization from top to bottom, from the ownership, the GMs, the player personnel, the coaching, everything. This is where he wants to be, and it's a great place for him and his family. So it's not just about state tax. Yes, it helped. It did. But the reason why we're going to really take a look at this right now and discuss this is because I want us to actually break down. Well, I'm going to break down, not us, but I'm going to take a look at breaking down the roster right now. Where are the big names that we need to re-sign this offseason? Again, I'm getting ahead of myself, but for a reason. Because you're going to see when I go through these numbers how much money is going to be left over after these potential re-signings. And there's not a whole lot of guys because I did a couple of different number crunches here that will pull us well under the salary cap. And again, don't forget about the plus minus of the 4.5 million that they're currently over, because they will be under that. So the final number I give you is not including the additional 4.5 million that they're going to have to be under the cap. So essentially, they'll have a little bit more wiggle room to work with, which could bring in potentially the chance for them to get a younger, unrestricted free agent, lure them here that has some talent but isn't going to break the bank, or find someone who is a veteran player, maybe in their early 30s, that they can keep for 2, 3, 4 years and help replace someone that could be an unrestricted free agent and leave the Florida Panthers. I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to ruin it for you guys. So let's jump right into it, guys. Again, Brad Marchand, I love what he had to say. He wasn't simply stating that, yeah, it's just about the state taxes, no state tax, no state tax. No. There's a reason why he came here. Top to bottom, well-run organization. They're winning. This is why he wanted to stay. He's got great relationships, built some friendships, all of that, so on and so forth. Great for his friend, his family. I've already talked about it. But let's look at the team. So you could already see all of the guys that are signed from till 2030 and beyond. But the guys that I've singled out here at the bottom are the ones that are in the last year of their contract. And obviously, Thomas Nosek is on injury reserve. But what I did was I ran through the numbers. The total amount that this team is at right now is $64.825 million that they're spending on their forwards, centermen, all of that. So if you take away those bottom contracts there, it adds up to $3.95 million. If you subtract that away from the 64.825, you got $60,875,000 that will be spent on forwards for the 2026-2027 season. That's number one. Now we're going to look at the defensemen. 24.125 million, you see the number there. I subtracted out the guys in the last year of their contracts. That's 4.125 million. So we're left with $20 million there being spent on defensemen. And then our goaltenders, literally, we could bring that number down to 0 because Bob's in the last year of his contract, as is Daniil Tarasov. Okay, so what that means, the reason why I did this is to show you guys what kind of money do the Panthers have to work with at the end of the season. Because right now, the unrestricted free agents that I think they're going to look to re-sign, and in this order, kind of for the top 2, I would say Sam Miskevich, because he's the future of the franchise. What number will he be looking to sign at? Will he maybe take a bit of a discount to remain with this team? I mean, it's going to be a long-term contract, especially if he has a really solid year. The thing is, I just don't know where he's going to be, because I've seen some younger guys taking somewhere in that, $4 million range, a little bit higher, a little bit lower, that are around his age, maybe a tiny bit older by a year or two. And it's intriguing to think about. So from my perspective, you sign him at around $3.5 million to $5 million per year, depending on how he does this season. Okay, that sounds great. But what about Bob? At $10 million a year, he's not going to be getting $10 million. At his age, if they re-sign him, and it's an if, who knows what will happen if maybe they do decide to try to find a younger goaltender, or if Bob retires, which I don't think he will if they win another Stanley Cup. He'll probably want to try to do 4 in a row if they do, or even if they make it back to the Stanley Cup finals. He's even said age is not a number to him. He feels great. He's ready to go. He feels like he's in the best shape of his life. So for him, I think he would take a hometown discount. I don't think it's going to be anywhere beyond probably 3 years, somewhere between probably 6 to 7.5 million. Then you got to take Niko Mikkola. You've got to re-sign him. I feel like with his size, he's only 29 years old. He should be a part of that group that should hopefully stay here till 2030. And, he'll be, 34 by that time, maybe 35, depending on when he was born. But if you could sign him at $3.25 million to $4 million a year, maybe, we're looking at decent numbers. And if you're possibly able to keep Greer, Gadjevich, and Kunin at like a league minimum or $1.25 million per year, you're looking at about $3 million if we average it out to about $1 million per player. And then Thomas Nosek, I don't even want to put him out there yet because of injury reserve. We have to see what happens to him when he returns to the lineup. So with all those numbers, with all of that stuff I just spewed at you guys, it's a lot to digest, but I'm going to give you the numbers now for how much they would pay some of these free agents to return. And remember, the second part of this episode that will come out later today is going to gear towards, okay, well, who's going to replace who? Who can they find out there to replace a person? Because they will have some additional cap room left over to sign possibly a younger player that they could bring into the squad, sign longer term, and keep them here till 2032 or beyond. Or find an unrestricted free agent that's older, maybe keep them for 3 to 4 years. Have them play until their late 30s, but sign them at a lower cost. Again, that's a conversation for a little bit later. So the roster salary for the 2026-2027 season, with all the math that I just showed you guys, is around $80,875,000. So if we take away that from $104 million for next season, we're left with about $23.125 million to spend. That's plus or minus that $4.5 million, I would say, added into that. So we're talking about $27 million, almost $28 million that the team has to spend. But then if we look at signing those unrestricted free agents I just talked about in Bobrovsky, Samoskevich, Mikla, maybe Greer, Gadjevich, and Kunin, if we sign all those guys, let's say on the higher end and max out those deals like Bob at $7.5 million, Samoskevich at $5 million, Mikla at $4 million, Gadjevich, Greer, and Kunin all averaging around $1 million a year, give or take, we're looking at about $16.5 million. You want to subtract those numbers. If we're talking about the low ball at $23 million per year, we only have $3.625 left over, but you add in the 4, you're at $8.1 million left to sign another player. So there is still going to be money left over for this team to maybe entice a really solid free agent at $8 million. And it only gets better the following season because they're going to have $113.5 million in cap space to spend. So they can keep adding into this roster. That's what's remarkable. And so if we're looking at the money left over, like I said, it's either going to be around $7 to $8 million. But on the higher end, let's say Bob and Samoskevich and Mikla sign for a little bit less. On the low end, let's say Bob at 6, Samoskevich 3.5, Mikla 3.25, and keep the other guys at $1 million. Well, they'll have about almost $15 million to spend with the salary cap. Again, if they can get some guys to sign for less money, it could be a beautiful thing for this team because then they could really entice some really solid names in free agency. Maybe get younger guys, sign them for a little bit younger, a little bit less, so you can maybe get 2 guys, maybe 3 additional players. I mean, you're going to have to start looking at your defense because, again, what's going to happen with Dmitry Kulikov? Will somebody walk away in free agency? I'll go back to this again, the forwards. Are we going to see AJ Greer stay, or is he going to want more money? Luke Kunin, if he has a better season than what people are expecting, maybe he'll want more. Gadjevich. Again, all of these guys are going to be wanting more money, and then you do have to worry about your free agents next season. I know who knows what's going to happen with Evan Rodriguez right now, but I anticipate him to be gone. But Lustrainen, we'll see what happens with him. Will he sign? Will they extend his contract? Jesper Bovequist, what will happen with him? Again, a lot of questions. I'm just trying to pose something out there to throw at you about this is what the team will have to spend next season. It's very intriguing. It's going to be great because they will entice a lot of unrestricted free agents because they're winning. Again, top to bottom, the organization's run extremely well. Players are really taking notice of that because of how great this team is year in and year out for the last 4 seasons. And if they win a 3rd Stanley Cup, I can almost guarantee you there's going to be guys out there that have a ton of talent that'll say, you know what, I don't need to take $8 million a year. I'd rather do 6.2. Kind of do what Aaron Ekblad did. I want to go and I want to win a title. I don't care about the money because you know what? If I get 6.2 in Florida, that's like me going to Montreal and getting 8.5 million or whatever it is. I didn't do the math in my head, that 15% increase, whatever it is. So those are the numbers, guys. It's very intriguing to think about. And I'm going to tell you guys who I think they should target and take a look at. Again, you can give me your comments down below. Let me know what you think in the next episode about who do you guys think would be a good fit for this team if, give me player A that leaves the squad, player B that they would probably try to pick up in free agency at the end of the season. Again, we're not talking about trades or anything. This is basic looking forward to the future. I know the season hasn't started. Again, this is very ambitious, but it's a look ahead to see what can this Panthers team do. Because I know some people were freaking out. Well, what about this? And this guy's going to cost this much, this. Right now, players are coming here not signing for a max term deal in terms of getting $12-14 million a year. They're not doing that. They want to win. They want to be part of a great organization. So, anyways, guys, food for thought. Wait till this afternoon. Oh, sorry about that. We're going to wait till this afternoon. I'm going to release another episode, maybe even this evening or tomorrow morning. Get ready. I've got 6 players, 3 younger, 3 older, that I think would be good fits for this team. Depending on who walks away, we'll see. Keep your eyes posted. Something will be coming up in the next 24 hours. But guys, thank you again for joining me on this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Please. Thank you all. I appreciate all of your support. See you guys next time. And guess what? Oh yeah, go Cats.